Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today, Sebastian Noel, sportscaster for Proview Networks. And Sebastian, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, Steve, this is always nice. Right before the tournament, we kind of break down brackets. It's become a little bit of a tradition. So.
I tell you, I was out with you the other night, and we talked about it, and we get to break down baseball. I know you've done a lot of baseball games this year. I've been in and out with Lobo baseball, and over the last 3 weekends, I've gotten to watch quite a bit of high school baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an exciting time of the year, and it's a weird time of the year because I remember you and Coach Schallenberger kind of touched on it last week. No other sport has to deal with the fact that seniors are already out of school and they come back and compete for a state title, right?
I guess the word is moving parts this time of year.
Exactly.
And, he had his banquet on Tuesday because they're graduating this week. There's graduation parties. There's, all kinds of eligibility issues.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things going on this week. But
his kids are done. They had their finals last week, right? APS has some finals this week for their seniors. So that's kind of a weird wild card that only baseball has to deal with.
And then just the graduation parties. I mean,
right.
You have I don't know. There's so many, like I said, moving parts. But back to, one thing that stuck in my mind last week when I had Shane on is, we always talk about, parity in basketball that we saw, Volcano Vista, number 12 seed, come up and win. And when it came down to the last 3 or 4 minutes of the program, I asked him, I go, well, what do you see in this? He goes, I can't pick a unanimous winner. He says, yeah, La Cueva's probably the team to beat, but they're beatable. And that's, when coaches are saying that, that everybody in the state's thinking that they can win the state championship.
Sure, yeah. I mean, La Cueva's not the dominant Bears that we saw 10 years ago. The teams with James Parr and Jordan Pacheco and Matt Quillen and Zach Arnett and all those guys, when they were rattling off all those state titles. Record-wise, they're just as dominant as those teams. But if you've watched those teams play back then, and I know you did 10 years ago, and so did I, and you watch this La Cueva team, they're two very different teams, even though dominance-wise, they're the same.
And they're highly rated right now. And Coach Parade, Gerard is. I'm choking up. He was on my show.
Well, he's left. Coach Pineda's left a lot of people speechless.
He just did that to me. But even his, and Yotis wrote something. James Yotis of the Journal wrote something, and they really haven't met some of these teams across that are in the top 6. I mean, their schedule has been usually, El Dorado is very tough, Sandia is very tough, and so they're battle tested coming into the state tournament.
Right, that district certainly didn't provide the strength of schedule that they're used to this year, that's for sure. And that really is their only mark on them is their strength of schedule has been pretty weak this year, but they don't make their schedule, so they've beat everyone that APS Athletics, et cetera, has put in front of them. So you can't fault the kids for the schedule, that's for sure.
And their only loss was the first game of the year, so they've been pretty steady across the deal. And I think, we're kind of jumping ahead, but we're on the subject with them. But you look at La Cueva, and they got some hitters, man. I'm telling you, they got 4 or 5 guys that that are in the 350 on up.
Right. We kind of, actually, when I was leaving my house this morning, I was talking to my neighbor who played baseball at Del Norte, actually, and so he asked me, hey, how's La Cueva? They're the favorites, right? Because his kids all go to La Cueva. And I said, and I couldn't really pinpoint why they're so dominant. And I finally settled on, I said, Jason, that's his name. I said, they just don't do a lot of things wrong. If the situation requires them to hit a ground ball to the right side to get a base runner over, they do it. If the situation requires a fly ball to score on a sacrifice fly, they do it. They don't make a lot of errors. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They've won 2 1-0 games where they had to manufacture runs. So that's where I told them, I said, no, this isn't a dominating team like in years past. I said, but man, they really don't make a lot of mistakes. They always do everything right situationally.
You know, that's funny you say that, Tom Dragomats. We watched La Cueva and Las Cruces Añate this weekend, and it was. He made that same statement. He says they got a great defense. I mean, their defense is, they don't make mistakes. They've make the hits, they make the quality things. And if you really break down the Añate game, the first night it wasn't like Stroman dominated the game. It was because they were Añate were hitting the bats, but they're hitting right to somebody.
Well, right, and I remember I texted you on a Monday after that cold Saturday when they played Manzano and they played Mitchell Parker and Stroman. It was a 1-0 game. First inning, La Cueva reaches on a drop third strike, gets away from the catcher. They reach first. They steal second. Then they move them over. Sacrifice fly scores them in. They win the game 1-0. That's what I'm talking about. It seems like 1 through 9, and that's really a reflection of the coaching staff. Every kid on that team knows what every situation requires.
Well, you know, that staff has been there a long time. I mean, it's, you know, we always talk about that with all the coaches is you're as good as your staff, and that staff's been around La Cueva for quite a while. But hey, let's get on to this. You know, we kind of jumped off the La Cueva,
right.
But let's you know, if we get them to pull up the brackets, and then we'll just break down. You know, we'll just start with we got La Cueva number 1 playing Rio Rancho. Let's talk about Rio Rancho a little bit, and young team, very young, but again they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about a guy that knows how to win games, and that's Ron Murphy, of course. You know.
And then if you really think about the last, I don't know if you have that stat or not, but I'm going off the top of my head. If you look at the last almost 20 years, it seems like it's La Cueva. It's also it's Carlsbad, it's El Dorado, and Rio Rancho.
Right, and what Coach Murphy does is he kind of nurtures in a young group like this group, and he brings them in at a young age, maybe where, you know, on other teams they wouldn't be getting as much time on the varsity level, and they kind of grow as a unit. And you could tell by the time they're upperclassmen, they're usually right there to lift a blue. But the interesting thing about this matchup is Rio Rancho definitely has an ace, Bodie Bolin, that I would assume would be starting this game. La Cueva on Coach Pineda's side, now he could really roll the dice and not pitch Jonathan Stroman, right? Because they have just their pitching depth is a phenomenal. Whether it's Devin Boren, Wes Alexanderson,
I was going to say,
Ben Shoneman, you know, his dad's a good friend of ours, good sponsor here. So Coach Pineda's got an option that not a lot of people have. Is do you not pitch your ace there in that round? Of course, we're talking about pitch count restrictions. So if your starting pitcher, I have the numbers here with us, Steve. If they throw 41 to 60 pitches, they only require a calendar's day of rest. So you could conceivably have your ace go, limit them to 60 pitches, hope they leave with the lead, and then throw them in the championship. You might see some coaches do that. Coach Pineda doesn't have to, I don't think. So that'll be an interesting matchup.
You know, again, James Yoda's unbelievable job that he does with the Journal, with breaking teams down and talking about them. I think that's the biggest headline in today's paper, is that, you know, the strategy of this pitch count. I think this is the first year it's been put into effect, and there's a lot of strategy behind it. And what I'm seeing across the state is that everybody has one dominating pitcher. I mean, or they wouldn't be here right now. And that it comes down to pitching at this time of the year. And what happens in the second and third game is the team that has, and that's probably where La Cueva has the strength over a three-day period, but they got to get through that first day.
Oh, absolutely. And Stroman's done that throughout the year where he hasn't maybe started all the time. He's come in relief a lot. La Cueva's also used to having to use multiple pitchers because that district played Saturday district doubleheaders. So they didn't have a Tuesday, Thursday schedules. They played Saturday doubleheaders during district, so they constantly had to use 4 guys every Saturday Thus, I think that helped with their pitching depth. But Rio Rancho, Bodie Bolin, that's their ace, and he can mow through a lineup. He's not a big strikeout guy. You know, he doesn't blow you away like Stroman does, but he pitches to contact. He gets ground balls. He's got a nice breaking ball, and next thing you know, he's gone through 5-6 innings pretty quickly, low pitch count. The only thing with Bolin is when his gas tank reaches empty, it gets there pretty quick. Then you got to get somebody up. But Rio Rancho definitely has their ace to match La Cueva, but he's going to have a pretty special day to stop that lineup.
Well, let's think about Rio Rancho for a second. 4th in their district.
Right.
Lower
The toughest district, without a doubt.
And I look at the record; they're 21-8.
Right.
Okay, with a very young team. So they're a team that, you know, I think the word, if I'm a La Cueva fan, they need to put them away early. If they don't get a quick start and get runs up there, and the longer this game goes, the more confidence Rio Rancho is going to get, and they're going to believe that they can beat them. And I think right now every team thinks that they can beat everybody.
Right, and that's the way to get Jonathan Stroman, right? Is you get into his head early a little bit, get some base runners, and then if, like you said, if the game's tight late, Coach Murphy, you know, the king of the sacrifice bunt, the squeeze bunt, he starts getting base runners on, starts dropping bunt everywhere. Maybe La Cueva tightens up, throw away a couple
Squeeze
of balls.
plays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point. And, you know, it just adds to the whole Stroman factor. If they can get the lead early, maybe Coach Pineda does pull them after 60 pitches, save them for the championship. But if they don't have a lead early, then that's a moot point.
Okay, quickly, who's your pick?
It's just too much pitching depth, so I have to take the Bears to advance. And, you know, the guy that doesn't get enough credit there is Coach Pineda's son, Jack. Plays a phenomenal shortstop, and he can do everything with the bat. He can bunt, every situation, he knows what to do. I'll take the Bears.
And they got the leading, you know, Richard Ware. I mean, as a batter, I mean, they got the hitters, they got the guys, long ball hitters, they got the deal. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk more high school, state 2017 boys 6A baseball.
Tech. And this one way up to right field. Very out here. At the wall. Cannot make the play. And it's a 2-1. And Little could have put this up to left field. And this one gone. It's a 3-run shot by Grant Little. And just like that, Texas Tech right back in it. This to right field. This is deep. That gone. The solo shot for Orlando Garcia. Goldberg first, the line fires a fastball, and this is belted to left field, deep at the wall. Capella can't get there, and it's a 2-run shot for Hunter Hargrove. This one smashed to right field, and it is gone. 3-run bomb. Absolutely hammered.
And Simpson scores. Bottom half. One square to the left. Montoya still coming on the dive. Makes the play. Nice play. Put a star on that one out and left. Still going back. And he makes a running catch in right center field. What a play by Tatum. Put a star on that one.
West Conference play. Runner's going to go here. This belted out to center field deep.
I don't know.
Luis Gonzalez all the way at the This is hammered to left field. Looking up is Grant Little, and it's gone. A 2-run shot, a 3-run shot. Excuse me, for Carl Stajahan. And it's 11-8. How about the 11th bomb this year for Carl Stajahan? On the fire. solo shot for Jared Mang, straightaway center. He bombed that baby. And the furthest part of the ballpark, Tom.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Samantha.
Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year.
Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you.
We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico.
Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We've got Sebastian Noel. We're breaking down the 2017 6A bracket, and we're going to move on right on. And we talked about La Cueva and Rio Rancho. We got La Cueva moving forward. Now we're going to go to break down that Carlsbad Valley game.
Yeah, and that's one, as soon as the Vikings were through, when they beat Hobbs, that's one I looked forward to right away, because that potential matchup between Rogers and Daniel Romero Martinez, that will be the best pitching matchup of the tournament, regardless of round. That could be a must-see.
Well, it's kind of neat. They're both things. It's going to be La Cueva and Carlsbad are going to be playing at the Isotopes Park on Thursday night, and I think it's 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, and so that, to me, may be the best two teams to go play, unless you're if you're an outside sports and you're not tied to a team.
Oh, no doubt, Steve. That's a great point, because if you go early for the 4 o'clock game, you're going to get to see the best pitchers duel in the tournament between Rogers and Romero Martinez. And then if you stay for the nightcap, you get to see, hey, what's this #1 La Cueva team all about, right? And
Coach Murphy in Rio Rancho, has won the state championship.
Exactly.
So you got some teams that have been there before. I just want to, congratulations to Chad Kuhn. I mean, kind of under the radar, good record. I mean, I'm looking at his record for the year, 18-8, and go down to Hobbs. I mean, that was the upset of the weekend. To go down to Hobbs, the bus drive, spending overnight, and then come out winning 2-0.
Right, and
Sweep.
Chad, yeah, and Chad, he threw his ace in the opening game. He threw Daniel Romero Martinez in that first game. By the way, Romero Martinez only gave up 4 earned runs the whole season. So that's how dominant he was.
And they're the only team that has beat La Cueva.
Right, and he's the pitcher. His line, I talked to Coach Kuhn this morning in preparation for the show, and so I wanted to get the line on Romero Martinez, and he went 6 innings, held La Cueva to 2 hits in that start where he beat La Cueva. But getting back to that Hobbs game, so that game's tied 0-0 heading into the 10th, right? So you've gambled, you've used your ace. He's kept it scoreless like you hoped he would, and then Coach Kuhn's son Nolan comes through with the big RBI hit in the top of the 10th. They win the game that they absolutely had to win with their ace pitching, and then momentum obviously carried into the next day. It's got to be a little alarming for La Cueva to have them on that side of the bracket, the one guy that got him this year, right? But, I mean, they are going up against the best pitcher in the state, and Rogers, the guy that's averaging almost more than 2.5 strikeouts an inning. So this one could be scoreless for a while too, right?
You know what? I want to step back just to Albuquerque High, and congratulations to Albuquerque High. They made the playoffs, gave Carlsbad everything they needed to down in Carlsbad, and what a great season they came out with.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that first time in some 20, 30 odd years,
yeah,
winning a district title there, and I mean, just
24 years.
Right.
I think it was
down to the wire. They were playing some really good baseball. That game against Atrisco, right? That meant a lot. I mean, that dropped Atrisco from #1 in the district to #3. That bumped Valley into the #2 spot in that district. So Albuquerque High put together a tremendous season, and they gambled. they didn't start their ace in game 1 of the weekend series. So they held him. They didn't want to burn their ace against Rogers, which I think probably was the smartest decision. And then he ends up getting beaten game 2. That's how they were eliminated. But yeah, still a good season for the Bulldogs.
Well, I'm putting you on the spot, or you can put me on the spot, and who's going to come out victor on this?
You know, this one, Steve, oh, man, this one's tough. You know, and personal, you know, I mean, I have a soft spot for Coach Kuhn, obviously, because I started.
Well, so do I. I mean,
because I started PA announcing at Del Norte when he was
so
the coach.
I'm putting up maybe this one you stay out of. No, you know what? We have to go forward.
Yeah, we got to pick.
We have to pick with it, but I'm telling you.
Well, I'm not going to be so bold as to pick against Rogers because he's, you know, when you got 30 scouts in the stands every start. You're doing
so you think there
right.
may be, you know, there might be the scouts might, you know, be looking at the other pitcher?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. There's going to be a lot of people there watching Rogers, and they're going to see this other guy, Romero Martinez, who, you know, like I said, he had an ERA under 1.2. He struck out 63 guys in his 47 innings. Right. And from a stuff standpoint, Daniel actually is pretty, if you remember Billy Wagner back from a reliever with the Braves and the Astros, you know, he's got that kind of low 3/4 delivery. He's got a real hard fastball with a little tail to it. He can cut it, and then he's got the slider out of the same arm angle. So some scouts are going to be there watching Rogers, but they're going to say, hey, wait, what about this other guy? Now, with that being said, Rogers is going to be a millionaire this time next year, right? So you
or
can't,
might be right after the tournament.
right after the tournament. So you know, I can't ever pick against that. You know, I might need him to float me alone. So I'll have, you know, can't pick against him. So have to take Carlsbad.
You know, so we can say, hey, Chad Kuhn, great season.
Yeah, great season. But we played it safe.
Hey, no, you made it to the Isotopes Park, and a lot of people don't make that, and that's a great opportunity.
But I'll tell you what, if I wake up Friday morning and I'm preparing for a Valley broadcast, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
Well, I go back to Shane Schellenberg. I mean, here he is, number 2 seed, and he's looking at the whole thing. He says, you know, that this tournament is not La Cueva's to lose, right. Like it was in football, was Rio Rancho's to lose in football because they were so dominating. This team here. There is so many moving parts, and
one final caveat, Steve. This game, more than any other, the pitch count rules might come into play, right? So, again, if your starter throws less than 60 pitches, you can come back and throw him in the championship. So these are both teams that are really, their season lies with their ace, whether it be Rogers, whether it be Romero Martinez. So if one of those teams has a 4-0 lead, do they dare take their starter out before 60 pitches and hope they get another start later in this tournament, or do they ride that starter to the end, and what impact does that have? Let's say that it's Coach Kuhn that's got the lead. He pulls his lefty, and then Carlsbad comes back against the bullpen. So this one could be interesting when it comes to pitch count. Or, of course, you know, you could just let him ride it out. You have to win one, right? So because then he's not available the next day anyway. So you're coaching for the championship, but wait a minute, you still have the semis. So I don't know, but safe money is on Rogers.
Well, so we're going to just move Carlsbad over here. You know, just write old Carlsbad down, and so that's going to be a good Friday night match between Carlsbad and La Cueva, which I think a lot of people are I know myself was looking for that.
And I always hate picking against Coach Kuhn because you see the arms on that guy, Steve? I mean, you don't want to upset him.
Or even talk bad about him. I mean,
that's not a guy you want to get upset.
You know,
wow.
I mean, a guy of your size, and you're intimidated by. But you know, when you talk to him and you hear his nice voice,
one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
He's an unbelievable, you know, individual, and it's great to see Valley in at the Isotopes Park and see them doing well. And so we're going to have La Cueva and Carlsbad. So we're going to just move right on down to Pedro Vista and Centennial, and that's, you know, Pedro Vista and Mike Magaha.
Yeah, Coach Magaha's. He knows he's done this before.
I mean, look at what his district come out. He's been here. He's not intimidated. His team, they moved from 5A to 6A. All his his tenure at Pedro Vista, they played 6A. They'd taken anybody on that would play him.
Right, and PV's taking their lumps in 6A and some other sports, not baseball. Number 3 team in Max Preps in 6A. They finished second in their district.
21-7.
Right. Again, that's the toughest district in baseball, no doubt. And actually, Coach Magaha, he told the Farmington paper, he thought that's what separated District 1 and District 3 was in District 1, he said, our pitching's better in District 1 than District 3. Even when we play those double headers, we're going to face a college pitcher the second game of a double header. So, he's really just been preaching that this district is the best in the state. His guys are ready. They have some really quality wins, Steve. They beat St. Pius twice. They beat Carlsbad. They beat Hobbs. They beat Academy. They beat Rio Rancho twice. They beat Atrisco, another district champion, twice. This is a team with a lot of pedigree that maybe if you're from the city here, you got a little bit of bias towards this Duke City, don't count this team out. This, I think, is the biggest challenge to La Cueva's Blue Trophy.
Well, okay, so let's talk about Centennial. I mean, it looks like you've got Pedro Vista down. Centennial, congratulations to Rusty Evans. Centennial kind of new in the baseball world, but he's in the top 8, and he's got some pitching himself.
Yeah, I mean, they were top of the baseball and softball world last year in 5A. Right, so state champs, second in the district, number 6 team in the state in Max Preps. They're out of that District 3. They've got some nice wins against Atrisco, against Carlsbad, against Mayfield, and they beat Cleveland. So not a lot of teams can say that. They beat Cleveland 7-4. They beat Las Cruces, who was in this tournament. This is a team that can hit the baseball. They got a 323 batting average. They can hit the long ball. They can run the bases. They have over 70 stolen bases as a team. But, again, this is a team with one ace. Junior Pena, he's 8-0, 51 innings pitched, 65 strikeouts. You'd imagine that he'd be going in that first game. He's a stud. He can throw the ball. Great pitcher to have at the top of your staff. Plus, he's a big key to their lineup as well. Not the biggest batting average at the top of the lineup, but he gets on base and he steals bases. He's stolen 20 bases this year. So, Centennial, again, this is going to be a sneaky matchup. This could be the best matchup of the day, actually, because the teams are pretty close. Centennial maybe better offensive numbers. They got a nice middle of the lineup. Manny Cachora hitting almost 500 in the middle of that lineup. Pedro Vista, they prefer to play small ball. They prefer a 2-1, 3-2 game because those are the kind of games they like to win. This could be the best matchup of the day, Steve.
All right. Well, I haven't seen either one play, and it's kind of a surprise to they're 2 teams that have moved from the 5A to the 6A, and congratulations to both of them for being in the top 8. So we're going to have to pick one that can move forward.
Yeah, and as great of a season as Centennial has had, and as just potent as the middle of that order is, with Bannister and Reynaud and Cachora, like I mentioned, but Pedro Vista, they've done this before. Their pitching's too good, and they're pretty deep. They're very close to La Cueva. I'd say they're as close to the Bears as far as pitching depth as you're gonna see. I'm sure they'll start Brendan Anderson in the first game, and then they'll have a couple more starters, whether it be Chase Silseth or Tyler Mead to back him up. So I'm gonna go PV on this one. Pitching depth rolls.
Well, I'm going to just conclude to you. I have no opinion on it. I just know that, again, congratulations to both of them. We'll go with PV and go with Coach Magaha. Is that
Coach Magaha? Again, he's been doing this forever, too. You talk, the way we talk about Coach Pineda and Coach Murphy, Coach Magaha has to be in that same exact conversation. He's seen it all in the diamond. His teams are always fundamentally sound. They can always drop down a bunt. They can always move the runner. They don't make a lot of errors. This is a good baseball team if you haven't seen them play yet.
We're going to come back, and Sebastian, we're going to come back and break down Volcano Vista and Cleveland, and we'll have our top 8 brackets done.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutz Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school leather jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Los Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico High School athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
Sebastian Noel, sportscaster for Proview Networks, and wow, we're down. We're getting. We got La Cueva, we got Carlsbad. They're going to be playing at Isotopes Park, and then we got Pedro Vista. We got Pedro Vista and Centennial playing at Lobo Field, and then a game that. 2 district teams, man. That's always scary, isn't it? Volcano Vista and Cleveland. Cleveland beats them in the last game of the deal to win the district and to become number 2 seed in the state tournament.
Yeah, this is a kind of interesting matchup because Volcano Vista has been playing really well, and that's a team that kind of, I'm going to be honest, surprised me a little bit. I didn't think they'd be bad, but I didn't think they'd be this good.
Well, with Coach
really
Kevin Anders,
that's true. I shouldn't have underestimated
I mean, Kevin Anders, he's always there. I mean, he just hadn't had the breaks to get it to win the whole thing. But he's competitive, and in that whole district. I mean, it's it's a baseball district. It used to be the La Cueva, Sandia, El Dorado. Now it's kind of seemed like it's moving out into that district.
Yeah, and I mean, after he started the season 10-8 and non-district, kind of, I was like, what is this team all about this year? You weren't quite sure, but now they've in district, again in that district, the cream is going to rise to the top, and it did. They got a nice lineup, really balanced, Evan Ruiz can really hit the baseball. Jacob Hakimi, all those guys. It's a nice little unit. The pieces all seem to fit. They pitch it well enough. Again, they can hit the baseball. They got some power up and down that lineup. And it's a district game, basically. So those are always entertaining.
Well, it's two teams that know each other. Okay, so they got tendencies. They've seen the best pitchers. You know, they've seen everything. This game here, you know, is it Volcano Vista's year and
And everything? Yeah, it might be.
This one here, you know, and I go back to Shane Schellenberger's deal. He was concerned about the whole state tournament and about anybody beating anybody on a given day. And, you know, the brackets, you know, with all that being said, even though when we come up, we're not going to be surprised if this bracket changes instantly on the first day.
Right. And what surprised me with Coach Schallenberger's team this year is they haven't really exerted their dominance on some lesser opponents as much as I would have liked to see. And what I mean by that is they've allowed a lot of runs to score. And, you know, some teams that they ought to be putting away by 10 runs, that didn't happen this year. And it's kind of hard to put a finger on because defensively, that's a very good team. 1 through 9 in the lineup, it's a very good team. But I would think Coach Schellenberger would agree that they've not performed up to their standards on the mound this year, especially when Ezra Acosta hasn't been pitching. Now, Ezra's 9-0, so he's done the job, no doubt. He pitches to contact, breezes through lineups, gets a lot of ground balls. Not a dominating guy, not a power pitcher, though, so definitely a guy that's going to yield his share of hits. And that's been a problem this year, has been pitching depth. You take a look at the seed lines. This is the number 2 seed, but if you just compare them to the number 1 seed, Steve, pitching depth-wise, it's night and day when you go from La Cueva's pitching depth to this pitching depth. But with that being said, they don't make a lot of errors in the field, and it's a really good lineup 1 through 9.
So what are you telling me here?
I'm giving you the information.
So I'm supposed to. This game scares me. I like both coaches. I mean, Shane's. It's first year he's won the district. I mean, here's another first. My question is he happy that he just won his first district? Have they gotten better over the? They struggled to win this last weekend. I mean, it wasn't like they dominated being a number 2 seed. Almost exactly how you broke it down is that a lesser seed team, they didn't put them away, and they had to come back in the last inning and win. So.
Well, and I had them late in the season when they played Cibola at Cibola, and that was an 18-16 game or something like that. It was a 2-run game. And that was against a Cibola team that really didn't have much to play for at that point in the season. And Cleveland really struggled to put them away. And that began to, I started formulating some question marks about this team after doing that game. Now, I do like their defense. I do like their lineup. I like the leadoff hitter if they have Admire at the top of the lineup. Jack Morano plays a fantastic third base, clutch hitter.
He's an all-around player. He plays it on defense. He's a hitter. He's a team leader.
Didn't get any better at short than Tristan Schallenberger. There's some great shortstops in this city. Think about it, between Schallenberger, Pineda, Goldsmith, right? I would have to see who the starting pitcher is. And now if Ezra Acosta's starting, I would give the slight edge to Cleveland. If he's not, I'd go with the Hawks.
Well, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he be pitching?
Well, I mean, you just don't know because you could roll the dice and start Morano, and then you have Acosta in the semis, and then it's Johnny.
Yeah, but you're playing a district team that I mean, it's. I don't know. I don't buy into this. Of all the coaches, I always know you don't save nothing because of all the things we said. Every team right now is they're playing at a high level or they wouldn't be here. Okay?
Right.
Okay. So you want to play your high best players and not take no chances because you may not. If you save somebody, so whoever your best pitcher is, you play him. That's bottom line.
All right, you convinced me. I'll take the Storm.
You're going to take the Storm.
Yep.
Well, I think that I'm gonna. This is one that I'm gonna. This is my upset. Okay.
So you talked me out of it, so you could take it.
So we're gonna put both of them in there.
Perfect.
Okay,
Sounds good.
okay, because either I can make it, I can make, because I look at it about Cana Vista. I mean, look at what they did. I mean, they're on a roll right now. I mean, their bats are hitting.
No doubt.
So we're gonna just put that as a toss-up. I have no. Cleveland, higher seed. They didn't dominate last week. I don't know if they got the nerves away. I mean, there's a lot of, it's first time, they're the number one seed, playing at home. Maybe they were overconfident. There's, a lot of issues there. So now we got to the Final Four Friday night. Oh, Isotopes Park.
Yeah.
Great weather this week. Can't get any better than what we're going to see. A lot of things happening that day too. There's softball's going to be some softballs all week.
Right. We'll have state track.
We got state track that's going to be here Friday and Saturday, and then the finals of on Saturday of track and also softball. I mean, this is for spring sports. This doesn't get any better than what I just said.
Right. So which semi do you want to do first, Steve?
We're gonna go with La Cueva and Carlsbad. I mean, that's the matchup that I think I want to see. Okay, I'd love to see Valley, the Cinderella team, be there. I mean, just because it's a Metro team, but I'm just saying from two coaches that you look over the history of baseball. I said it earlier. So it's La Cueva, Carlsbad, El Dorado, Rio Rancho. I mean, end of story. It doesn't. Those are the four teams, and now those two are in the semifinals, and so the coaching's even. You're going into this. These guys have been there. They know how to prepare their teams. La Cueva, the hitting teams. You said some names, but Richard Ware, he's like over 500. You've got 4
Ryan
or 5.
Johnson, Stanrich. It doesn't stop. It's up and down that lineup, Steve.
Panada, I mean,
I love his bat.
I mean, you look and every one of them seemed to hit, in clutch situations. So that
a nice young catcher, Phoenix Autry. He's just a sophomore.
Don't forget about Phillips. I mean, you look at those things, and dominating pitching of, I think they got 4 pitchers, so they can go 4 deep.
Right, and they're facing a Carlsbad team whose best player is going to be watching. Right, I mean, he might be playing in the field. I say that in jest, of course, but he can't pitch. Right,
so let me even break this down a little more. If you really think about all the pitchers for La Cueva, and I hadn't looked at their stats and everything, there's only one that lost 1 game.
Well, yeah.
That was the first game. So every one of them's a winner.
Right, that's true.
I mean, nobody's thinking. They keep and you can say whoever they played or whatever they've done, they still are. They've only lost 1 game of the year, and the rest of the pitchers have won them all.
Well, I would imagine that either Schoenemann or Wes Alexanderson would start this game. And one thing to note of Carlsbad's season is they play Saturday district doubleheaders. They split every one of their doubleheaders. So they won Rogers' start. They lost the game that Rogers wasn't starting. I think that trend continues here. I think the La Cueva Bears roll into the finals pretty easily.
So you got La Cueva up here. All right. You know what? They're nationally ranked. Who can beat that? I watched them play. One thing I watched too was their chemistry. Those guys like each other.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat chemistry, and especially when you're a great team. Because when you're a great team, there's always seems like somebody, because you have so much talent and everybody can play it, and somebody gets hurt. We've seen that happen.
Well,
and they just seem to like each other.
And those are the kind of the things you can observe when you get to the ballpark early, like an hour before the game when you're getting ready for a broadcast, right? Teams all playing pepper or they're doing something. Yeah, that's a really good point, Steve. And we used to see that a lot from when Coach McKeever was there and they were nationally ranked all the time. Same thing. Those guys loved each other. You wouldn't see coaches within a mile of those kids, but they were always working on something. And that's the same characteristic that this team has.
We're going to go a little longer. We're going to break. Now we got to really. Pedro Vista's got 2 teams they got to compete against. Man, that's going to be hard to do. And you know they got to play a double hitter to get into the finals.
Right. Well, you know, Steve, I told you I really like this PV team. I like them a lot, and again, they have the pitching depth very similar to La Cueva. So if they throw Brendan Anderson in the first round, you know, you're talking about a guy. He took a no-hitter into the 4th inning against Atrisco for their weekend series there. So he was very dominant against Atrisco. I believe he held them to 2 hits the entire game. So let's say he's gone. He won the first game. They still have 2 other pitchers to go. So too much pitching depth there.
Well, and coaching may go for winning state champions and everything.
Right.
That's a plus. He's been there. He's, you know, his thing's there.
And again,
either
District 1, so tough.
3. Hey, look at that. Look at that. 3. I mean, we got 2 in the semifinals here, but I'm just saying three teams here that. Now the question is, out of those 3 teams, who's going to win it, man? This is, you know.
Right, and now Cleveland does have the head-to-head wins against them, but in one of those games, I do remember that Pedro Vista was leading most of that game. Then the sophomore Robert Healy comes up, hits a 2-run homer. Cleveland goes ahead. Pedro Vista comes back, hits a home run in the very next inning, and then Healy comes back, hits another home run, his first 2 home runs of the season to beat PV. So in a pretty heartbreaking fashion for them. I believe that was at their place. So they're going to have that on their mind because, you know, Robert Healy's a nice player, but he had his best day of the season against PV.
So let's step back a step. If we have PV playing Cleveland, who do you like?
PV.
Okay, if you have PV playing Volcano Vista, who do you like?
PV.
Whoa.
I like this PV team so much. I would take PV over a team of all-stars from those 2 other teams combined. And that's no knock on those other teams, but I just think PV that's a team that not a lot of these people in the city give the credit to that they deserve. And if you're not, you mentioned it earlier, if you're not tied to one team, go out and watch this team play. They just execute really well. They're very similar to La Cueva.
I'll tell you what, we're going to come back and we're going to break down the, you know, La Cueva PV matchup.
Sounds good.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that could happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Samantha.
Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year.
Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you.
We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico.
Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
Hey, welcome back to the Steve Davis Show. We got Sebastian Noel, and right now the phones are blowing up the hook. I mean, we got LaQueva and PV, and the Farmington people are happy.
I think, yeah, I think we made some new fans in Farmington.
You just made some fans in Farmington, and maybe upset a little bit of our the Rio Rancho and APS, but that's that's okay. That's why we're doing this.
We got an APS school in there, right? We got the Bears in there.
Right. So this game was Saturday night, championship night. The last game of the Isotopes. A lot of other games will be played that day for the championship. I think there's 5 games that day starting at the Isotopes, but I could be wrong on that. But wow. So again, one thing, I looked at the weather. Weather's supposed to be nice this week. Not like last year where it was a fiasco with rain and delays and playing games at midnight and things like that. So hopefully, knock on wood, and everything goes well for the MMA for this week. And again, LaQueva, PV, let's break it down. LaQueva, we can't say, accolades speak for themselves. 1 loss, we pitching strong, hitting strong, coaching strong.
And similar in how
PV's same thing.
Similar in how well they execute the fundamentals of the game, right? So both of these teams can grind out a pitcher's duel. They can move runners over. They can make the right plays on the bases. So this is actually a baseball purist's dream final. The only downside is maybe we don't see the starters, the aces, because of the pitch count rule. But that's something to maybe keep in mind as well.
Talk about that, Pat.
Yeah, let's talk about it again.
Go over that with that thing there, because the people got to understand this for the whole tournament, and it's going to be very, we kind of broke it down, and we're going by strength of basically the pitchers, but this is a big factor in this week.
Right, sure. So if a pitcher throws 0 to 40 pitches, there's no calendar days of rest required. Right, so that would be relievers mostly. The one that really comes into play in the tournament is that 41 to 60 pitch range. That requires you only 1 calendar day of rest. So if one of these 2 teams gets a big enough lead early in the other game they played in the quarterfinals, and they yank their starter, let's say LaQueva's up 6-7-0, they yank Stroman before he gets to 60 pitches, he would be eligible to throw in the championship. Same thing for PV and Brendan Anderson. If they have a big lead in their quarterfinals, they pull him at 60, he could pitch.
Right, I want to start with that, and maybe help me out. How many innings is 60 pitches?
Well, it depends.
I mean,
I saw Jonathan Stroman pitch against Manzano, and once he hit the middle innings there, he was in cruise control. And 60 pitches would have easily took him through 4 1/3 innings. So, if you can get 4 innings out of your starter with 60 pitches, and you can patch it together with 3, but like you said, it sure is a gamble. And then the 61 to 90 pitches requires 3 calendar days. So if you hit that, of course, you're done. And then the 91 pitches or more requires 4 calendar days. So again, if any starter throws a complete game in the quarters, they're done, not even mentioned, worth talking about. The only way they could come back is if their teams kind of had a big lead and they pulled them before 60 pitches.
And before I forget, I wanted to say, there's a lot of things going on this week at the Isotopes Park. That'll be the finals of baseball, but there's going to be also at Union Track Stadium. There's going to be the 4A, 5A, and 6A state championship track, and then also there's going to be the girls on Saturday at the Lobo softball field. And you can get your passes, NFHS, get your passes now. You can watch all the sports. I mean, buy one pass, buy a weekly pass, monthly pass, or a yearly pass, and go on for next year. And the yearly pass, you can pick out your high school and support your high school of your choice. And I think you can buy a yearly pass anywhere from $40 or $50 for the year. So
this is the time of the year you want to have it.
Actually, this is the time you want to buy it because you got all next year. So.
And actually, last year I did a lot of softball, and actually a couple of parents were in the stands, and they mentioned, oh well, her brother plays baseball and he's playing across the street, so we're listening to that on our phone on the NFHS. Yeah, so this is the time of the year you want that for sure.
And again, go to the NFHS and there's or go to Proview and look up NFHS and sign on and get your ticket out. It gets logged up, so don't wait till that last second. Go ahead and get it right now.
Absolutely. So and then catch this final, right? This purist final.
All right, so now I kind of got off the field, and so who's gonna we got LaCueva and PV. Who's gonna be the 2017 state champs?
Well, as much as I love this PV team.
He's backing down a little bit.
I think the finals is when their run ends there. I think LaCueva will have just enough to overcome them there. That lineup, it's got a little bit more pop in it than PV. Pitching depth, the difference, maybe a smidgen, Steve, but an inning here, an inning there, right? One more pitcher, it makes the difference. So, and I really do think, as far as blowout potential, LaCueva could have a game early on in the tournament where they have a luxury of maybe pulling Stroman before he hits 60 pitches. Or Coach Pineda might roll the dice and not start him until the final, right? Which is something he's done before, Metro tournaments, things like that. So with all the variables, I just have to go with LaCueva. That lineup 1 through 9, they're so fundamentally sound. I think the Bears are going to finish this one off.
Okay, we're going to go to LaCueva. Let's really quickly kind of recap some of the other Metro teams that are going to be in the state tournament.
Sure. On the 4A side, it's looking really good for the Huskies. They have a lot of pitching. Coach Copeland, former Cibola head coach, has taken over the reins there at Hope, and he's kind of been he's really embraced this pitch count rule thing. I mean, he's played this thing out beautifully all year. I think James Yotis wrote an article about it earlier in the season. But he's really worked with his pitching staff where no one ever hits this 91 pitch mark that will require 4 days of rest. So he's really and he's got some nice starters that could undoubtedly go 91 pitches, and Esteban De La O comes to mind. But he's really had a lot of pitchers go 3 innings here, 4 innings here. They're available in 3 days, and he's had to do that because just the sheer lack of numbers at Hope, right? You don't have the amount of kids going out for baseball as you would at a LaCueva. But he's worked that pitch count rule to a beauty this year. So I really like Hope there on the 4A side. 5A, a couple of local teams. Academy has had a pretty nice season. We had them in the South Puentes.
Step back one little deal. San Diego Prep's not going to be here. This will be the first time in a while. So
controversy.
That's going to be a wide open tournament just because we usually expect San Diego Prep to be in the finals.
Right, back-to-back champions defending. They've won it 6 times, and they're not here because of a very controversial ending of the game against Taos. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But so if we go back to 5A, Academy's looking pretty good this year. We had them in the South Puentes. They kind of were moved into the loser side of the bracket early on in the tournament, but they've rebounded nicely. The rest of their district schedule, they've looked pretty good. Pitching's been okay. The offense has been real nice there. And St. Pius is actually the team I would want to watch in 5A. I mean, you look at the bracket there, that number 3 seed, St. Pius, they've got a lot of senior leadership. A lot of those same seniors that played football, they also play baseball. Ryan Magaha, I believe DiLorenzo plays as well. So they got a lot of upperclassmen on that team. They're kind of rallying around each other. They had a coaching change earlier in the season, so they kind of rallied around the team. They're playing really well. Strength of schedule-wise, that team has played a really tough schedule. I really like St. Pius to come out of 5A there. No disrespect meant to the number 1 seed. I mean, if you throw it up one more time there, Josh, I mean, we're
gonna run out of time there, man.
I think anyone can win, but I really like Pius there, Steve. No disrespect to the Tigers.
All right, sounds good. We want to thank you and for coming on, and we're going to see how our predictions come, and let's see if we get any hate calls.
Right. And if they're wrong, let's never speak of them again.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sebastian. Appreciate it.